give me the loving.
Hi there, my name is DG Valdron, and this is my attic. It's this place where I tuck away all my dusty little treasures, my obscurities, my oddities, my hidden gems, and all those. So today, we are going to talk about the Disney season of Doctor Who, also known as Season 1, also known as Season 15, also known as the new Russell T Davies Ncuti Gatwa era. So what do we got? Man, it's all over the place. Let me try and break it down. I'm going to take a few minutes to do this. So we start off with the Christmas special, and it's nothing special. It tries hard. It's got this goblin musical number to it, which just kind of misses the mark. I mean, it's trying. You see what they're trying to do? They're trying for this catchy, weird, vibe, and you think, oh yeah, they want people to hum the goblin song and hum the baby song to just go into an earworm. But nope. It's actually pretty forgettable most of the way around, except for, the goblin stuff. And the Doctor doesn't really make much of an impression, nor does his companion. It's like, okay, we've all seen this before. It's not rising up out of the blues or anything. Move on to the season itself. Okay, Space Babies. Dumpster fire. I mean, literally, painful dumpster fire. A few years back, there was this spate of movies about talking babies. Look Who's Talking 2, Baby Geniuses, and it featured babies having adult conversations. This is it. It's just bad. It's bad. What the hell were they thinking? It fails on just about every level, including the fact that the CGI used to animate the baby's mouths moves it into very creepy, uncanny valley. There's no part of the plot or story that makes sense. The performances are overwrought. The script is just dreadful. This was followed up by yet another dumpster fire, but this one at least a more ambitious dumpster fire. This was The Devil's Chord, where some supernatural creature, played badly by Jinx Monsoon, steals all the music out of the world. Now, this could have been good, but in order to make it good, you had to have somebody better than Jinx Monsoon. I'm sorry. It's a one-note performance that delivers nothing. And for something like this, you needed something that was weird, creepy, over the top, and she just doesn't go there. You need something that goes into genuine surrealism. There's a movie called The 5,000 Fingers of Dr. T, made by Theodore Geisel, also known as Dr. Seuss, way back when. Or The Forbidden Zone by Danny Elfman, also another musical that's just demented. You needed that kind of over-the-top, lunatic mental energy, this commitment to surrealism, and instead, they don't do it. It's like the entire production crew just got together, said, we hate this script, and we are going to do this as bloodlessly as we can. And it wasn't a good script to begin with, and as I've said, Monsoon is a very good drag artist, no problem with drag, but the role needed an actual actor, and the role needed an actor that could take it places. Now, it's not all Monsoon's fault, but it's just, dumpster fire. Anyway, so 2 episodes in, I'm practically ready to just give up on Doctor Who. I'm going, wow, I've seen 3 Ncuti Gatwa episodes, and they're awful. But then something amazing happened. The series got good. We had 73 yards, which was a fantastic kind of ghost story. The sound design alone for this episode just creeped you right out. It was mysterious. It was like a 70s ghost story movie. And it was, as I said, serious and haunting, and nothing actually makes sense. Nothing is explained. and nothing actually happens, but you can't look away. It was, for me, one of the best episodes I'd seen in years because they just went for it. They actually did what they tried to do in The Devil's Court, which was to do something different, do something out there. But this time, they actually went out there. Followed by Dot and Bubble. And that was also a brilliant episode. People say it's about racism, but no, I mean, that's just putting a hat on a hat. The characters in Dot and Bubble are basically human cripples. These are people who are so dependent on their social media technology that they cannot avoid walking into a monster's jaws. They literally have to struggle not to walk straight in or turn aside or do anything. It's the most helpless people you've ever seen. And it's also the most self-absorbed people, the most awful people, but they manage to be engaging. The location shooting is terrific. The story is compelling. It's compared to Black Mirror, and I've watched Black Mirror. Maybe it is, but it's just a good story. Oh, and Boom. Boom was also a really good story. I think Boom came before Black Mirror, before Dot and Bubble, and before 73 Yards. Boom is basically the doctor steps on a landmine, and a whole bunch of things have to happen around him. Written by Stephen Moffat. Again, brilliant piece of work. So we had this string of 3 great episodes. Yay! I loved it. Doctor Who is back. And it's back in a wonderful way. It's got episodes that are heartfelt, that there's genuine emotion, that there's experimentation and development. And Ncuti Gatwa was barely in any of them. It turns out that he had commitments on his previous TV series, Sex Education. So he had to go light on 2 episodes where he's just kind of barely in. And of course, that's 73 Yards and Dot and Bubble. And in Boom, all he does is stand on a landmine. So it's like, he's barely there in a meaningful way. So the 3 best episodes so far have been, almost completely without Ncuti Gatwa. Whoa, that's kind of disturbing, right? Not a good endorsement. All right, so by this time, I'm happy we've gotten on to Rogue. And, man, I started off really liking Rogue, but it didn't hold up on rewatching. It's basically really nice location, really nice sets, really nice costumes, some very good personal character interaction. The guest star is, fairly compelling. Those are all good things. The plot is garbage. The alien menace is laughable. They're presented as these, world-destroying tourists and unstoppable, juggernauts, but they're actually dealt with very quickly, very easily, and without a lot of fuss. And they're birds. They're basically people wearing like bird heads, and it's one of those things where, wow, you probably spent a lot of money and a lot of hours doing this makeup and these costumes and these prosthetic heads, and you really shouldn't have. The story is trivial, and the doctor spends most of his time basically trying to get laid and flirting with the guest star male protagonist, which gives Billy Sunday, or Millie Gibson, the companion, almost nothing to do. Maybe that's deliberate because she had like a lion's share of a role for 3 episodes. But here she's basically just stuck in a closet somewhere. And the thing that I like least about it is the cheap out. At the end, the solution is that the guest star decides to sacrifice themselves for the doctor and their companion. And yeah, you know what? We saw that all the time in the Jodie Whittaker era. It was a cliche then. It was an unbearable cliche. And now I'm going, oh, Jesus Christ. Give us a break. So Rogue, I really wanted to like, but I can only rate it as average to mediocre. And then we got to the end game, the last two episodes, and one of them was, I think, The Legend of Ruby Sunday. Did I say that? I think the Christmas episode was The Church on Ruby Road. So this is The Legend of Ruby Sunday and The Empire of Death, back-to-back two-parter. And, oh God, we're back to dumpster fires again, but at least this time we've got like conventional dumpster fires. So the CGI is cheap, the acting is overwrought, the pacing is just dreary, the plot makes no sense. Like, why are they even bothering? But in terms of good things, well, the memory TARDIS is kind of like a nice little set there. It's nice to see Bonnie Langford. And what's her name, who plays Kate Lethbridge Stewart. But really, what was the point of this? Just dreary, forgettable, and cliched. And this actually brings me to my problem with Doctor Who and the Russell T Davies series, which is Doctor Who is in a rut. It's gone nowhere. It's doing nothing. We're not seeing any evolution. We're not seeing any development of the show. What we're seeing right now is basically the stuff that we saw 15 years ago. Okay? It's like an 8 or 12 episode series. You do this episode, you do that episode, you do a little bit of stuff, do a little bit of stuff. And along the way in the background, you're peppering these references, which will eventually become meaningful at the end in your big reveal. Exact same thing as we saw 15 years ago. It's the thing that Doctor Who has done over and over again. It's not an arc. What it is it's just a bunch of disconnected episodes with little references salted in so that, you can have your big reveal. But that's not really going anywhere. We've seen this kind of thing. We've seen it over and over again. And it's just not adding up to anything. Oh, and of course, the big reveal at the end is always some monster from the classic series. Listen, guys, okay, if you want to do brand new Doctor Who, fine. I'm good with that. But do brand new Doctor Who. Go out there, experiment, try different things with storytelling. But instead, all that they are doing is they are mining the classic series over and over again for increasingly obscure favorite monsters. And then, reinventing or reimagining them half the time in fairly dull pedestrian ways. And repeating the same basic formula. Well, okay. It's a formula. You have to change it up. You have to make it different. Instead, all we're getting is the same old, same old. So, if anything, this latest season of Doctor Who is just like, the Doctor Who 15 years ago, except old and tired and worn out and dreary. And I wonder why this is. I mean, Russell T Davies, when he started the show 15 years ago, he was brilliant. He brought some stuff. We were knocked on our ass. But I think one thing that's going on is that Doctor Who is basically been eating its seed corn. And so there's this massive intellectual legacy that they could draw on, that Russell T Davies could draw on to say, yeah, we can tell a bunch of great stories just by mining what's gone before. Well, a lot of that legacy is mined out. And what we've got from Russell T Davies is basically the same old trite formula. A few other comments to be made about the first season. Ncuti Gatwa, really talented guy. Brought very little to the characterization. He's not playing the Doctor. He's just pulling faces. His character cries on demand. Anytime there's a spot, it's bring out the glycerin to the eyeballs. He's bringing more emotion to the Doctor, but at the same time, he's bringing so much sappy emotion that it really doesn't amount to much. You cry once, that's significant. If you cry every episode or every other episode, it just becomes mundane. a lot of Gatwa's emotional expressiveness is mundane. He delivers some really good bang-out performances, but nothing has really gelled so far. And part of that, I think, is that over 8 episodes, he's barely in, or over 9 episodes, is it? He's barely in 3. He's not had much of an opportunity to develop his Doctor. I've heard that for the next season, he's also going to be missing a few episodes because of commitments elsewhere. And I got to wonder about this. Look, if you're an actor and you are too important to show up in the series that you are actually hired to star in, what are you doing? I'm just going to ask the question, what the hell are you doing if you can't be bothered to show up for your own show? I think that's a message that he's sending to people, whether he intends to or not. Other observations. Apparently this show, this had tons of Disney money. I don't know if that's true or not, but if they had tons of money, I don't know where they spent it. They spent a lot of money on a really insanely elaborate TARDIS interior set that they have barely used. They spent a ton of money on a really big, elaborate unit set, and again, they've barely used that, one or two episodes. The CGI in Sutekh and Space Babies is just rancid and awful. The effects are generally pretty pedestrian. If you look at Boom, you can pretty much tell that takes place in a very limited set, so they weren't spending a lot of money on production design there. I don't think they've had a lot of really big names on the show. So what are they spending the money on? I am not convinced that the budget is actually showing up on the screen, not the way it should be. Overall, it's a mixed show. We've had so far 3 really good episodes, 2 decidedly mediocre episodes, 4 dumpster fires. That's not really a good average. For next season, it's already shot. The show has not evolved. The show has not progressed. But for the next season, we know it's not going to. It is what it is. Enjoy the good stuff, and I guess we will not be looking forward to it with the traditional enthusiasm. So, there you go.